All right, I've been wanting to do this since we first talked about typography with our websites. One of the newer innovations on the web in terms of typography is to use web fonts. When you create a font family, you know that you specify the font you want the browser to use to render some text. And if that font is available on the user's computer, it'll use that. And then you specify an alternative font that is more common, perhaps, and then just a more generic font style like sans serif, serif. If you care about fonts, then you want to have a richer selection and be able to use fonts that people might not own. The innovation of Webfonts is that as part of your styling, you can direct the browser to go on the web to a source where fonts are stored. Google Web Fonts is an example of that. Google Web Fonts are all free, open source fonts, so you can freely include any of those in a design. So as long as someone is connected to the internet, and they probably are, otherwise how are they seeing your site? They should also be able to connect to Google Web Fonts and get the font you want them to use. So let's see how that works. I'm going to add a special font to the heading of my site. That's a place where something a little special could be used. Click on Start Choosing. Now over here, I've specified a few things in terms of what I want to look for. Here, I put in my own preview text, which is the title for my page, Holiday Cookies. So I'm seeing fonts previewed with the text I am actually planning on using. I can also specify a size here. All right, so looking at this, I want something a little festive, a little fancy, traditional might be another way to go for holidays. You could look at these fonts for days. There are lots of choices, more and more all the time. I'm just going to go ahead and pick something. I guess this is pretty festive. This looks a little more traditional. I'll try the Glass Antigua. You can create a collection. I'm going to just use Quick Use here. So here you see the selected font indicating the impact on load time because it has to go to another server and do, there's a server hit. That's a little bit of a cost in terms of speed. Now this is the link that you add to the head of your web page. This directs it to Google and tells it the name of the font you want to use. So to incorporate this, I'm just going to copy this text, open up my text editor, go in here, and right at the top of my heading, of my head, I'm going to paste that in there. It recommends putting that as the first thing in the head. I have it before linking in my CSS page. Step 1. Now going back to Google, next thing is to integrate this into your CSS. Font family, Glass Antigua, cursive. Okay, I'm going to copy that, go into my text editor, select my CSS, and find the element I want to apply this to. I want this in the header. I specifically want to use it for my H1. So I'm just going to go ahead, paste that in there. So I'm going to use this font family for my H1. It specifies the font I want to use, and then the family it's cursive. So that's a fallback. All right. All right, I'm going to save that. I'm going to save this. And I'm going to go and open that in my browser. I added it to my recipe. And here you see my new font. Okay, so the whole world of fonts is open. You don't have to be limited to the more generic Times Roman, Arial, Helvetica. So this is just one more thing you can use to customize and style your page. Use fonts sparingly. You don't want more than a few different fonts on your page typically.